Good evening and thank you for joining us. The government says it will include Wang Chi House in Wanful Court's acquisition scheme if at least 75% of owners agree to sell their ownership. Wang Chi House is the only building in the housing estate not damaged in the Taipo fire. Mimbo Singai reports.
Authorities first announced the acquisition scheme in February, covering 7 of the Wanful Court buildings. Asked why Wang Chi House wasn't included, the government has said the circumstance of the block was different and that the plan could only be extended to cover Wang Chi House if owners reach a high degree of consensus. Speaking to the media on Tuesday, Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong said the scheme is open to Wang Chi House after 77% of the homeowners have expressed initial wish to sell their ownership. But for the government to officially acquire the units, no less than 75% of owners must reach a consensus and confirm their intention by signing a letter of acceptance no later than June 30th or August 31st. Those who meet the June deadline will have priority to select flats provided by the government. 2 acquisition prices will be offered to owners: $8,000 per square foot for flats with unpaid premium and $10,500 per square foot for those with premium paid.
We do think the proposal is a good one for them, so that's our basic position. But it doesn't mean that we'd like to force them to accept the proposal. At the end of the day, it is their decision, having regard to their own circumstances. But we do think that what we have put on the table is very reasonable and should actually be quite attractive.
Separately, Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Chek Wing-hing said Wang Chi House residents will be allowed to return home between May 13th and 17th. That will be the second home visit for the block's residents since December. Most 9, TVB News.
Residents of Wang Cheng House and Wang Tai House continue to return home to pick up their belongings. Tuesday is the final day for families of the 2 blocks to revisit their units. Residents arrived at Wanful Court with suitcases and carrier bags. Some said they would tidy up their units and take pictures before leaving. As of Monday, 443 people returned to their units, while police received 10 reports of suspected loss of property cases involving watches, cash, and gold items. U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly not satisfied with Iran's latest peace proposal, which seeks to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and end the U.S. naval blockade of Iran's ports, while leaving its nuclear program for later negotiations. Meanwhile, speaking during a visit to Russia, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said there have been developments in negotiations with the U.S. Daniel Rao tells us more.
U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly not satisfied with Iran's latest peace proposal, which seeks to open the Strait of Hormuz and end the U.S. naval blockade of Iran's ports, while leaving its nuclear program for later negotiations. According to American media reports citing several White House officials, accepting the proposal could appear to deny Trump a victory in the war, since the U.S. president has repeatedly insisted Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reiterated the U.S. president has made his demands clear.
What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
So they're considering it?
I wouldn't say they're considering it. I would just say that there was a discussion this morning that I don't want to get ahead of, and you'll hear directly from the president, I'm sure, on this topic very soon.
Meanwhile, during a visit to Russia, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said there have been developments in negotiations with the U.S. Araghchi said the U.S.'s approach caused the last round of talks to fail to reach results despite progress that had been made. He called his recent visit to Pakistan a necessary step in order to review the latest situation. Araghchi described it as a good visit that could provide insights on under what conditions the talks can continue. Elsewhere at a UN Security Council open debate on maritime security, China's permanent representative to the United Nations, Fu Zong, urged the international community to resolve the escalating situation in the Strait of Hormuz through political and diplomatic channels. He warned the abuse of military means would only exacerbate tensions and create greater security risks, and says the root cause of the obstruction in the Strait of Hormuz lies in the illegal military actions launched by the US and Israel against Iran. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also criticized the US's war with Iran. Merz said the US is being humiliated by the Iranian leadership and criticized Washington for going into the Iran war without any strategy, saying this makes it harder to end the conflict. Danaral, TV News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said Monday that talk show host Jimmy Kimmel should immediately be fired by ABC and parent company Walt Disney, and that his joke about his wife having a glow like an expectant widow was beyond the pale. Melania Trump also called out Kimmel for the monologue he delivered prior to a shooting near a gathering of journalists and politicians over the weekend. Tracy Furness has more.
Last Thursday, Jimmy Kimmel, hosting his regular late-night talk show on ABC, made his usual jokes about the US president, even simulating possible scenarios from the White House Correspondents' Club dinner that would be held a few days later, saying that Melania Trump had a glow like an expectant widow. At the Saturday evening dinner at the Washington Hilton, Trump and the First Lady were rushed out of the venue after a shooting took place in the lobby. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt slammed Kimmel for what she called disgusting comment about First Lady Melania.
Just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that.
President Trump has repeatedly urged broadcasters to remove comedy or news programs he dislikes or that have been critical of him, and press regulators to take action to revoke licenses of broadcasters he says are unfair to him. Broadcasters have broad First Amendment rights to make jokes, even ones that are distasteful, experts note. Kimmel rejected the President and First Lady's accusations and said the joke was a light roast about the age difference between Trump and his wife. Kimmel said he had been vocal speaking out against gun violence. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Cole Thomas Allen, the man accused of opening fire at a Washington dinner attended by U.S. President Donald Trump, was charged on Monday with attempting to assassinate the president and could face life in prison if convicted.
There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold. But make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could. This is the kind of situation that we cannot tolerate.
Allen wore a blue gel issue V-neck shirt and pants at this first appearance in Washington federal court. He did not respond to the allegations at the pre-hearing. The magistrate in charge ordered Allen held in custody until at least Thursday for a second court hearing. Meanwhile, Republican senators were using the opportunity to push for the funding of a White House ballroom. They claimed that the ballroom would be a national security necessity, as the Secret Service would have more control over the security environment of future events.
If they had been a presidential ballroom.
And still ahead, leaders of two Christianity churches in historic meeting. China's top diplomat in Hong Kong says Beijing and Washington are communicating over Donald Trump's China visit. Hong Kong UST starts construction of Hong Kong's third medical school. Welcome back. King Charles III and Queen Camilla kick off a 4-day state visit to the United States. The British royal couple visiting the White House met with the first couple and headed to British Embassy for a garden party. Gloria Feng has the story.
U.S. officials and the British ambassador to the U.S. greeted King Charles III and Queen Camilla on the tarmac Monday upon the royal couple's arrival in Washington for their 4-day visit. This is the King's first trip to the U.S. since his coronation in 2022, and it comes at a time when transatlantic ties are under strain. The royal couple's first stop was the White House, where President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump greeted them. After posing for photos and exchanging small talk, the four had tea in the green room. Charles and Camilla later headed to the British embassy where they hosted a garden party. Officials from both countries were in attendance. The visit comes at a time when tensions are high, as issues including the Iran war drive a wedge between the two governments. In the coming days, the King and Queen will visit the September 11 memorial in New York and attend a 250th birthday block party celebrating the U.S.'s anniversary in Virginia. The King will be addressing the U.S. Congress later on Tuesday. Gloria Feng, TVB News.
History was made at the Vatican as Pope Leo XIV held an audience with the 106th Archbishop of Canterbury, Sarah Mullally. This marks the first encounter between the new pontiff and the first woman to lead the Church of England in its 1,400-year history. Gloria Feng has more on the story.
Pope Leo XIV prays and exchanges gifts with Sarah Mullally, Archbishop of Canterbury, during a monumental meeting at the Vatican that brings together the first female leader of the Church of England and the head of the Catholic Church for the very first time. The encounter between Christianity's two most famous religious figures would have been unthinkable just a few years ago, given their division over women's ordination in general and Mullally's appointment in particular. Both leaders expressed wishes to continue dialogue to deepen understanding between their churches. Leo acknowledged that new problems in their relationship had been added onto historically divisive issues. But he vows to continue the tradition of past popes to try to reunite the churches.
While much progress has been made on some historically divisive issues, new problems have arisen in recent decades, rendering the pathway to full communion more difficult to discern. I know that the Anglican Communion is also facing many of these same questions at this time. Nevertheless, we must not allow these continuing challenges to prevent us from using every possible opportunity to proclaim Christ to the world together.
Mullally's audience with the Pope is part of a 4-day trip to Rome and her first foreign visit since she was installed last month. She thanks the Pope and says regardless of her gender, the meeting marks a significant moment in these challenging times. She also hopes to encourage others to seek peace.
Both the Pope and I have a deep desire for peace and reconciliation in the world. We are called to be peacemakers, and certainly for us that prayerfully seeking to pray for peace and to be pastors who encourage others to pray for peace.
The Archbishop told the pontiff he would receive a warm welcome if he were to visit the UK. Gloria Feng, TVB News.
The Fanling Bypass East section will be open to traffic on Sunday, marking the first major transport infrastructure project completed in the Northern Metropolis. The bypass connects Fanling Highway with the Fanling North New Development Area. It starts near Kowloon Hang in Taipo, passes through the Longyuk Tao interchange, and connects to Shekou New Village. During peak hours, it allows drivers to avoid busy roads in Shengshui and Fanling, saving about 10 minutes of travel time. The Civil Engineering and Development Department said the most challenging aspect of the bypass was the Longyuk Tao interchange project, and the team needed to construct a 3-tiered structure, a tunnel, a roundabout, and a pedestrian bridge in a highly congested area within 3 years. President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Donald Trump are reportedly planning to hold a summit in Beijing in mid-May. Cui Jianchun, Beijing's commissioner of the Foreign Ministry in Hong Kong, said today that China and the U.S. are communicating over Trump's visit to Beijing. This says Cui and U.S. Consul General Julie Ide both spoke at the American Chamber of Commerce's annual China conference, where they stressed the importance of dialogue in Sino-U.S. relations.
Thank you for joining us here.
The American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong held its annual China conference under the theme What's Next for China Business? Strategy in an Age of Uncertainty on Tuesday. Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong, Cui Jianchun, and U.S. Consul General to Hong Kong and Macau, Julie Ide, both attended the event. That's against the backdrop of a reported meeting between President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Donald Trump in China in mid-May. Cui today reviewed the two nations are in talks over Trump's imminent visit.
China and the United States are maintaining communication regarding President Trump's visit to China. We are confident that under the strategic guidance of the two heads of state, A stable, sound, and sustainable China-U.S. relations will further boost the confidence of the American business community in Hong Kong, further ensure their long-term operations in the Chinese mainland and Hong Kong, and further deepen mutually beneficial and win-win cooperation between China and the United States.
Cui also said China welcomes more foreign businesses to seize opportunities arising from the country's industrial upgrading, modern services sector, and high-end tech development.
We look forward to 2026 becoming a landmark year of sound, steady, and sustainable development of China-U.S. relations.
U.S. Consul General Julie Ede expressed hope that Hong Kong can continue to provide a platform for dialogue amid shifts in the international landscape.
It's not always easy because the challenges we face in the U.S.-China relationship are real, and in some cases growing. But Hong Kong, as you know, has historically been a place for constructive dialogue on what is happening throughout China. Many around the world, including myself, hope that will continue. The two presidents plan to meet in Beijing in May, and President Trump has invited President Xi to visit the United States later this year. With the United States hosting the G20 and China hosting APEC, including here in Hong Kong and Macau, we have multiple opportunities for productive engagement.
The American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong has hosted the annual China Conference since 1992, focusing on China-U.S. trade relations and business opportunities in China. Around 200 business leaders, government officials, and academics attended the conference. Among them was Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development Bernard Champak-Lee. The Hong Kong University of Science and Technology held a groundbreaking ceremony for its new medical teaching and research complex. Chief Executive John Lee, Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong, Zhou Ji, and Secretary for Health, Lo Chung-Mao, also attended the ceremony. The government previously approved Hong Kong UST to establish the city's third medical school, offering a 4-year second-degree medical program, with applications opening in the middle of next year. John Lee said the national 15th five-year plan supports Hong Kong in becoming an international hub for high-caliber talent. A new medical school will help turn that into reality, attracting and training top talent in healthcare and higher education.
The new medical school will ensure
Unveiling its latest financial results, Hong Kong Disneyland Resort has posted a $536 million net profit, while achieving a debt-free position for the first time. The theme park also expressed optimism towards revenues during the Golden Week holidays, noting the almost full hotel bookings. Making a surprise appearance at Hong Kong Disneyland's results meeting was snowman Olaf from Frozen, as a free roaming animatronic robot is set to delight guests in May at the park. In 2025, Hong Kong Disneyland received 7.5 million guest entries. Overall hotel occupancy rate at the park increased 6 percentage points to 79%. Per capita guest spending in the park reached historic highs, with an increase of 2% over the previous year. Hong Kong Disneyland also posted a $536 million net profit, turning debt-free for the first time in its 20-year history. Staying in the black for 2 consecutive years, the theme park's net profit, however, dipped slightly.
We had increased outbound travel from Hong Kongers, as an example. Ongoing macroeconomic uncertainty, and when the weather is very, very challenging, it obviously can put pressures on business such as theme parks. But when you take a look at the business in total and the performance in total, we're very, very pleased with that level of strength and profitability that we achieved.
With the Golden Week holidays coming up, Disney hotel bookings are almost full.
If you are interested in staying in one of our Disney hotels, I encourage you to book right now because they're almost full. The increased traffic coming in or expected to come in from Chinese mainland into Hong Kong, and we're nothing but welcoming of all those guests to come visit Hong Kong Disneyland. The record level revisit intent, these are powerful indicators that we expect to play well with this holiday that we're in right now.
The theme park also says Pixar Summerfest will be held from June 12th, with the Pixar Water Play Street Party as a prelude to the new Pixar attractions. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.